Giddy up.
Giddy
Happy
up.
Stephen Foster weekend. Is that the right way of putting it? Happy
weekend.
Happy last weekend of June.
Oh my God, it's going so fast. This is crazy.
Happy last weekend without Saratoga.
Yeah. Saratoga next week. It's exciting.
I am extremely excited. I am sitting here live from Saratoga. Where are you right now? Next to Monmouth or Monmouth?
I am New Jersey, Monmouth. And yeah, wish I was in Saratoga. Oh my God, I'll miss going. I might show up and have dinner or lunch with you next week after I go to Finger Lakes, possibly. I'm ready for a detour.
I heard a rumor that there might be a horse that could possibly win at Finger Lakes on Wednesday that you'll be riding.
Yeah, a little bit of hot soup. I like Apollo
hot soup.
Yeah, get on him every day. So.
And then you might detour to Saratoga.
I mean, you kind of have to, right?
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Hit the races on Thursday, drive out back early morning Friday, ride a Jersey at the shore.
Sounds like the way that sounds like a perfect day. Sounds like a perfect couple days to me. But yeah. Let's get to the point at hand. We have a pretty big race on our hands Saturday. Stephen Foster, Churchill Downs, race 11, 9 furlongs. We have the Dubai Gold Cup winner against the Breeders' Cup Classic winner, against the Kentucky Derby winner, against a few others that haven't won this prestigious races, but are super talented. I think it's the race of the year so far. Would that be too much to say?
Been pretty exciting to see.
So we're going to break that race down for you, and then that's going to kind of be our inside the mind of horse player. But before that, we have a special guest with us who doesn't need an introduction at all, who won the Kentucky Derby last year and the Kentucky Oaks. Mr. Kenny McPeek will be joining us on PodToga. Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We're in the heart of racing season. Saratoga opens in less than a week. Everyone's talking horses, but the question we have to ask you most about, or I don't want to take away too much of your time, but how are the tattoos doing?
The tattoo. It's only one, but it's exceptionally large.
Only one. It's exceptionally large, but I thought it was kind of incredible.
Wow.
Big. Well,
Mystic Dan and Thorpedo Anna.
Torpedo Anna.
That's awesome.
Well, both will be running on Saturday.
It was a lot of
Mystic
fun.
Dan will be running into Stephen Foster. You know, it looked like he got back into Derby form. Like, what were your thoughts on his race last time out and heading into Saturday?
Well, look, his first two starts after the Triple Crown campaign were a bit of a, let's just say, couple of misfires, and I'll take the bullet on that. We logistically we had to ship him all the way to California. We did it by truck. It was a mistake. In hindsight, I wished I hadn't gone. It looked like it was going to be a relatively good spot for him, but between the travel, it was a long way and just didn't go right. And then back to Florida, that didn't go well. But we kind of regrouped and reset. And in hindsight, I probably should have what I call step-laddered him, started him enlisted and worked my way up, which is what we've done this time, and build his confidence a race at a time. And he's come back breathing fire, and it's going to take that to win this race this weekend. I've said to several people, this is really deep water. It's a fantastic race. It might be the race of the year.
It is definitely the race of the year so far, for sure. It could be of the year.
Yeah. So we're gonna get to be entertained by this one, and look, if he pulls this one off, I would be ultra proud. I might even get another tattoo if he pulls this one.
The tattoo's so big, you're running out of room. But I know you're gonna.
I'm saving the other.
You might win another Derby too, so you might need to save
the other arm for the Epsom Derby. then
that.
Completely crazy.
Has he grown, gotten bigger, stronger as a 4-year-old, or does he still kind of remind you a lot of last spring?
Yeah, absolutely. He's gone from a look, he was a good 2-year-old, very good 2-year-old. He was obviously one of the top 3-year-olds in the nation, and as a 4-year-old, he's rounded he's just a very handsome horse. I mean, most people, I'm a bit of a student of history, and there'll be those that giggle at this, but Northern Dancer won the Kentucky Derby in a slugfest fight to the finish. And then he came back and won the Preakness, and he never won again. I mean, so good horses, and good stallions. And I think Mystic Dan is very reminiscent physically of Northern Dance. He's not a huge big horse. He's a very medium-sized horse. He's very what I would call Porsche. I mean, you can make a move with him and he can do it quickly. He doesn't grind it out at all. He's just fast, and that makes a great stallion. And I think we've showcased him here in his career, and hopefully the next 6 months is going to give him an even better chance to ultimately be a very good stallion.
Is there one horse in the race that scares you the most, or it's deep waters?
They should be scared of him. I mean, because he loves that racetrack.
Yeah.
He's 3 out of 4 over it. Brian, he knows him like the back of his hand, and we will let Brian and him do their thing. And I think Sierra Leone's a little compromised because I don't think that they're going to show him much pace. Mm-hmm. Why would they set it up for him? And then it's a matter of how everybody settles and who stalks and who takes the lead. And you might even find Mystic Dan on the front if there isn't any pace.
That's what I thought too. I mean, other than the long shot outside Arctic.
I'm with you on that. If you have a couple more minutes in the last race on Saturday, you're running Native Runner. I know you started him on the turf, went dirt, won it off the turf race. Now you're going back turf. Was this horse kind of always turf meant, or what are your thoughts?
Well, he went to a stage where I think he really needed a confidence builder. We got lucky we didn't lose him for 50,000 when we ran him for that. He's always trained like a pretty nice horse. I'm hopeful that he's figured it out now. And Brian, as usual, they just run better for Brian. And his last win was good. And I think that it is a big test for him. Where do we go if he's not competitive against this group? We'll see. I actually was encouraging the ownership to run him for the 125 claiming last time out. Mm-hmm. I don't think they would have lost him and they would have saved the condition. But we've lost the condition now, and now we need to see if he's a stake horse. And he's trained well going into this, and it's an ideal spot, a nice 3-year-old stake. Is it listed or grade 3?
It looks listed. Remember. It's not a grade 3. Yeah, 250,000 American Derby.
That's where you go. Yeah. You go a other than the list.
It's a deep spot, but he fits right in there. So I wish you all the best. And
thank you very much for coming on.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it.
All those good races at Churchill. There's so many good horses, good trainers, good riders.
And you'll be up in Saratoga for the summer, going back and forth. Well, I see you at Ciro's again.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we're working our way. You know that picture that they have hanging in Ciro's. You walk in, it's probably the ugliest horse you've ever looked at.
When you walk in through the back on the side door.
The side door.
Yeah. They had the picture that's hanging there, and it was really, really one of the ugliest horses you've ever seen. Yeah. You remember the picture?
I don't know the picture, but what is it?
A little.
Well, we replaced it with Thorpedo Anna.
Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
So when you go in, you're going to now see a framed Thorpedo Anna painting, or it's not a painting, it's a photograph. But there was a horse on that wall, and I kept telling Michael, for those that know Michael at Ciro's, Michael, that's the ugliest horse. How in the world can you hang that picture in like the horse summer capital of the world? You got to get that off there.
Yeah.
You had just the horse in mind.
Yeah.
I should have taken a photograph of it and then put it on Twitter and said, okay, let's see, heart if you like, which one you like. I don't know how y'all do that, but anyway,
retweet if you like it, heart if you love it.
Yeah, something like that. Which one do you like, this one or that one? But anyway,
the picture's definitely moving up in class. But
we're looking
I don't want to take you. I know you have a horse coming up here in the 3rd at Churchill in a couple of minutes. So best of luck this weekend. Best of luck this summer.
Thanks.
I really appreciate you jumping on, and you're just great for the sport. And thank you for taking care of the sport that I love. So
all right, I'll see you at the races.
Have a good night, and bye, Sherry.
All right, bye.
Bye.
That was great having Kenny on.
Yeah, he's awesome and such a great trainer, such a good horseman. I myself love Mystic Dan. I love his last 2 races. I thought Brian Hernandez rode a cat daddy race on him at Churchill Downs, cut the corner. Like Kenny said, the horse is like a sports car, can go stop. He's easily maneuverable. He's got that good body size. And I think that's going to be pretty effective in this next race.
Let's start at the top.
Okay.
Because I've got thoughts. And you're going to kind of hear my opinion, and then you're going to kind of give me your opinion. We're going to kind of break this down because first couple episodes of PodToga, what is this? We're on PodToga episode 3 now? We've made it this far? I feel like we need an award for making it this far. We've done more of like some recap, like gone back, but you know, what people really know from me, from my emails at GiddyUpBets is, you know, me breaking down the race and handicapping. So it's kind of like inside the mind of a horse player. So I'm going to kind of break down what I am seeing in this race. We're sitting here right now, late Thursday, Friday morning, kind of when this will probably be released. I don't have a specific pick for you, but I got a lot of different thoughts on the race. So let's start at the top. We just had Kenny on talk about Mystic Dan, but we might as well start at the top. We'll start with number 1, First Mission, trained by Brad Cox. We're going 9 furlongs here, and this horse has the gate speed to sit in a great trip on Saturday. He's shown to be tactical before. Brad Cox has kind of always looked at this horse as one of his tier 1 type of horses when it was a 3-year-old. It went a little south when he was entering the Pegasus World Cup right in here. He came back. He's always been spotted against some fields where he was going to be very short of a price. He's disappointed a few times. He ran in April in the Oaklawn Handicap, and he ran well. He beat Banishing. I thought that he did it the right way, but he had a very nice trip. I don't put any stock in Pratt getting off of this horse to go to the British Cup Classic winner, right? Like that was where Pratt has to go.
He has to go. Yeah.
Has to go. So
I don't think
first mission for me, sitting here, and you know, if you've been following me for a while, I don't come up with my final opinions until after I see scratches, after I see how the track starts to play, after I maybe get a little bit more information from some of the trainers. Maybe Kenny will tell us that something's going on that we don't know about, anything something like that nature. But for my chair right now, First Mission for me is an A, but we'll see what kind of goes from there. Number 2 in the Stephen Foster is going to be Mind Frame. We have a little bit of a history with this horse. Why don't you go over how this horse ran twice as a 2-year-old and then ran right into the Belmont Stakes, and I was standing next to you, and you saw what on June 8th, 2024 in the paddock at Belmont, or at the paddock at Saratoga, I should say, for the Belmont Stakes.
I just think that he was mentally so there. He was training so well, and his body, everything was a 10. And in this race, his last race, it wasn't that impressive. And then he just didn't have like the power that you usually see. And then his gallopet was decent. So I'm not really leaning to Mind Frame this time.
I want to pull it up because I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Just give me a second here because I want to ask you a couple questions because that's why I think it's what's so valuable, I think, about doing this together is kind of using my eyes and then using your eyes and kind of coming up and maybe changing my opinion on something. But
okay. Just a side note too, I think that Irad, obviously Todd Pletcher's a major trainer that he rides for, but he also rides a lot for Safi Joseph, and I think he actually picked Mind Frame over Skippy Longstockings, and then naturally Jose picks up Skippy Longstockings because they have the same agent, and I have that agent as well. When I was in Gulfstream, and Jay Rushing and Steve Rushing would have asked Irad who he would prefer. So
and he's preferring Mind Frame, and he's preferring him, I believe, because I think we kind of know what the top is. It's Skippy Longstockings on the sheets, on my numbers, physically as his age. I don't see him beating this type of field, but I wanted to pull up the Mind Frame race. This was Derby Day, the Churchill Downs 7 furlong race. Can we see this on the screen here?
Yes.
Mind Frame was number 7, and if we kind of pull it up and we're looking at it kind of close, 7 breaks well. We're super sloppy, sealed track here, and my question to you is kind of, let me fast forward this a little bit. He's in a pretty good spot. He's forward. He's down in between, which is never the easiest, as you always like to say. Taking dirt on a sloppy track like this is never the easiest thing. And he's still a lightly raced horse, right? Like he's newly turned 4-year-old. And right here, you can kind of see, I can even pause it. The 7 is right in here. This is where Mind Frame is. Irad starts to get into him a little, and I had bet this horse this day, and I had kind of pressed into this horse a little bit in my horizontal wagers. And right here, I'm a little concerned. So, if the bottom, you're seeing the front end. You're seeing the front end get pressed. So I'm confident that maybe someone from behind is going to come, but he's on a sloppy track and he's really urging him along, right? Is that what you're kind of seeing here? Like he's pushing him hard.
Yeah,
early.
I think probably it's possible that the horse is just taking so much dirt and just getting bombarded that, sometimes a jockey, you'll feel the horse kind of back off, and you can't allow the horse to back off. You got to keep them encouraged. And then I see he goes to the outside. So he's probably like, I got to get out of this. Like,
so now he's cleared. So like backing it up just a little bit more, he got into him early at the half mile pole, let's say. Right? He went around the turn. He was outside where you kind of wanted to be. So now he's like fully in the clear here. He's going 7 furlongs, which I don't think has, a lot of people said maybe that was too short for him. I thought that was a distance would have been perfectly fine. And he's kind of grinding along here in the slop, but then he kind of late surges in here, which shows me there's more in the tank. Is that what you're seeing? Because this is a nice close finish, 4-way bunched up at the front ends. He could have lost this race, but he really got into him and he won. And the gallop out, which we're going to show right here, he's right. With Banishing, right? Like he's a long striding horse. What did you think of this race? Like, did it impress you enough, like from going back to the Belmont early days of this horse? Or is this a horse where you think maybe he's kind of topped out and that race is what we're getting out of him?
No,
he's going to need to improve to win here.
You have to improve to win this next race of this Stephen Foster. But I don't think tapped out. I think 7 furlongs is just enough ground, but I think I like him better going longer.
So going 9 furlongs from this post is definitely, from a physical standpoint, from what you're seeing, is going to be preferred.
I agree. Yes.
Because I'm trying to figure out from my chair is that this horse is going to have to move forward, and there's ability there. It's really going to come down to the price. He's going to play as one of. Is he going to be the favorite? That's kind of my main question. Like he's 7-2 on the morning line. I guess the Breeders' Cup Classic horse in Sierra Leone is probably going to be the favorite. But I would not
take a lot of money. But
I would not be shocked if they vied for favoritism, though. Does that sound right? I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I don't know. What do you think? Mystic Dan should. I think I like Mystic. Dan.
Let's go. Let's get to that.
Okay.
Number 3, Skippy Longstocking. I've seen this horse now. He's run 32 times. He's won 11 times. He's a really good horse. He just has not shown me that he is at the mind frame, First Mission, Sierra Leone tier.
Agree. And when you watch the moves on the track, he just doesn't have that same, like that. Like
he's just a little
very nice horse, but he doesn't have that like special thing that just, the power and that different levels of you can go, stop, and like Mystic Dan, I think just doesn't impress me that way.
Sierra Leone's going to be the number 4. He's your Breeders' Cup Classic winner. I've been saying this now for, over a year. Like if you really want to dive into it, this horse could have won the Kentucky Derby. Like Mystic Dan sat the best trip in that race. Forever Young was probably best because it started a little bit slower, but Sierra Leone was right there and was a nose away. So this horse could be your Kentucky Derby winner. It could also be your Belmont Stakes winner. Not so much because it finished a length and a half behind Dornoch and Mindframe, and it wasn't that close. But if the race was run at Belmont going 12 furlongs, this horse probably would have went by both of them, right? So you could be looking at a real Belmont Stakes winner, a real Derby winner, and Breeders' Cup Classic winner. He then he was on a speed bias track in the Travers. Thorpedo and Fierce has had the jump on him. So his resume, he's solidified to me is that there was a ton of talent here as a 2 and 3-year-old. We then got into our 4-year-old season. He went to the New Orleans Classic for a longer stretch. It's not something that Chad Brown always does. And we went over this race and we kind of watched it together and we kind of took note of this and we said this to each other, but you weren't thoroughly impressed with this run. True or false?
It's true. And I think it's like Sierra Leone he's a grinder, plotter, and he looked like he was getting there, but it's possible that, like you said, Chad may not have had him fully cranked at maybe just 80%. And when you compare it to the Breeders' Cup race where he was a little more forward and he had so much energy and so much like power, I thought this race it's possible, maybe you're right, he wasn't fully cranked. He didn't look like he had that a little. He could have been a little stronger in his finish, but it's the first race back for in a while.
Yeah, that you just don't. Chad Brown's not pointing to the New Orleans Classic.
Yeah.
So the winner was the Louisiana bred stakes winner, Touch Upon a Star, Hall of Famer in second. They went 1-2 all the way around the track. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of him coming down the stretch, but again, I don't think he was just really meant to win this race. And I kind of have the same kind of question about this race. Like, is this kind of being used as the next stepping stone? Like, as Kenny said earlier about Mystic Dan and how, maybe he thought he made a mistake last year of not having the right steps in place to get him to where he wanted to be for certain spots. I could kind of see Chad Brown being like, let's take the 90 days, point to the Stephen Foster. It's a grade 1. We're going to get a longer stretch. We'll get 9 furlongs at least. But this is more maybe a point towards the Whitney, because that's where Chad kind of wants to point to. We'll go Whitney, then maybe another race, then try to repeat in the Classic. That's what's kind of going through my mind. So you're looking at it from a horse player's perspective. I'm looking from it from a sheep pattern and perspective and a Chad Brown pattern perspective. Or am I going to take a short price on this horse that I don't know if this has really been circled on the map either? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mystic Dan is number 5. We just talked with Kenny. He seems very confident. I said to him straight up, I said, who scares you the most? And his response was, they should be scared of us.
Yeah.
And if you know me long enough looking at my emails, I say I want someone that's confident. Putting that aside, Kenny is he's a confident trainer. He likes to, he does a very good job.
He does a very good job. The thing I love about Kenny right now is I've worked for Kenny. I've ridden for Kenny. I love him, his family. But what I would like to say is that he has a really good team behind him right now. He has Jimmy Jerkins. He's got Robbie Alvarado riding, breezing, galloping horses. And Robbie has so much knowledge and experience. Jimmy Jerkins has so much knowledge and experience. And then he's got Brian Hernandez riding and working with the whole team. And they all want one goal. And I think it's a really powerful team. I think you're going to see a lot more good stuff coming out of that team, that crew. Coming up from picking babies to racing, and you have 2 amazing jockeys getting these horses prepped for these big races, and they know how to do it. They know what they're doing, and I just think that his barn is going to it's already so successful, but it's going to light up.
And I think that's something like super important to say too. Like as we're doing these podcasts, is like a lot of people just kind of look at the raw numbers, and they're the sheep patterns and everything else. But coming from your perspective, from your mind, like this is a team sport, like this is the trainer, the guys who are riding these horses in the morning, the jockey, Brian Hernandez, the relationship that he has with the horses. Like it is more than just the number and the who's running the fastest figure. Putting all of that together and having that feel and going through, that's why a lot of these barns go through hot streaks, like Mystic Dan had sat an unbelievable trip in the Derby. Thorpedo Anna sat an unbelievable trip. She ran her eyeballs out in the Oaks, showing how talented she was. But his team coming together last year at that time, it was all like everything came together and he won those races. And this horse seems to kind of be getting back into gear. Like we don't have to watch this whole replay here, but from my perspective, and this is how I play the game. I think Mystic Dan is a really nice horse. But it does not take away from the fact for me from a wagering perspective. And again, if he's going to be around the same price as a few of the shorter prices, you don't sit a much better trip than this, right? The pace horse is backing up here.
And look at the hole that opened up. That was so sweet.
The hole opens up here and he cuts the corner. Like this is like watching the Derby. Like if I just put my hand over what race this was, and right in here, Antiquarian kind of takes out like. Johnny V doesn't corner so well, so he just cuts down. And like you were saying, he just puts his nose down, and you're looking at it from he's putting his nose down and looking like his former self, where there's upside. Where I'm looking from it as this is a trip out. Is that true or false?
Yeah. What do you mean a trip out?
Like trip out meaning this was an unbelievable trip.
Yeah.
He sat in the pocket, let the pace do their thing. The pace pretty much eased. He slipped right around him.
Yeah.
Put his head down, cut the corner, went, And I just found it a little interesting as he was coming down the stretch. This horse has got super talent. Like you see the pace setter just kind of eased up right there.
Yeah.
Where did he
I
gallop out? He's right down in here. Like the other horses kind of galloped out. I think this horse has a huge chance.
Yeah, I think what's really key here is that Brian Hernandez doesn't allow him to gallop out too far, which is great because he already ran a great race, and you don't want to use up a horse too much when you're going into the Stephen Foster or you're looking forward. He also, in this race, only hits the horse 4 times, looks to the TV screen, and that shows you that he doesn't want to get too much, doesn't want to overdo it, and just hand rides him to the finish. And then pulling up at just before, like around the 7/8 pull, he's saving this horse. And that's a really important thing. Not only is the jockey riding a great race, he's focused, but he's thinking about the next race. That's a next level jockey. It's the top of the top. You don't want to ever get to the bottom of a horse, especially when you have another race coming next. And I think when he cuts that corner, he gains a length too. It's such a Cajun style thing to do. He rides the rail very well, like all those Cajuns. I don't know how they're born out of the womb, cutting the turn.
They have a style about them.
Burrell, Corey Landry, Brian Hernandez, Robbie Alvarado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's fun. And that's what's like, I feel, is what I love doing these kind of podcasts with you. We just kind of started, but going is that I'm looking at it from one perspective and you're looking at it from a different perspective, where I'm looking at it and I'm going, maybe he could finish a little better. Maybe he could gallop out a little better. He sat a perfect trip. But from your eyes, you're like, he knew he had this race in the bag after the trip that he ran. He saved him a little. He didn't need to gallop out that big because he only hit him 4 times and he kind of geared down a little bit at the end, if I'm hearing you correctly. And he did what he needed to do. And you think that this horse has upside as a 4-year-old to make a new top and to win this race. It will probably be the 3rd or 4th choice in the race.
I really like him. I think the horse is going to have a lot of confidence coming off that race. I think that the horse probably in the last race in Oaklawn, he probably thinks he won that race. That showed a lot of grit. Those horses pulled away from the whole field and they dug in back and forth. I mean, it was just a head bob in the end. He must be training well. And I think that, Brian's doing a great job. I think that team right now is lights out there. He's going to run a good race. I have a good feeling about it.
Yeah. Let's go to number 6, Hit Show. You were in Dubai for Dubai World Cup Day.
He ran so cool in Dubai, although 3 of the top horses that were supposed to run really good didn't even hit the board. Forever Young, Tuz. I think
Tuz was in the sprint. Forever Young, the other horse.
Forever Young.
I know.
It was. Yeah, sorry. And then he ran a great race. He made a wicked move to close and win. And then I think when he came back, I don't know, sometimes Dubai can be funny for some horses. They come back really well. Sometimes they don't. Mystic Dan clearly did. But I think in his last race, when he comes around the turn, he switches his lead. He switches it a little weak. And what I mean by that is like he kind of loses his balance a little bit. And that when your horse switches your lead, you want to really see them accelerate and switch easy. And you'll see him wobble a little bit, which means he's kind of tired and he's out of horse. That's a concern.
Because if you see here on the screen, I know it's probably really small if you're looking at this on YouTube, and if you're through the podcast, you can't see this, but right here in the top right-hand corner, like when I send out my thoughts and emails for everybody that subscribes to GiddyUpBets this weekend, this is pretty much what my note is going to be. And my note says pretty much, kind of abbreviated here, Forever Young didn't look the same as in Saudi. So he kind of beat a horse that he beat Forever Young, but he wasn't the same type of caliber horse. He tipped in, he was at the rear. He looked like he had too much to do. Mixto was best of speed and he stayed up there. And then, like you said, he switched leads, but it wasn't the strongest switch, but he did surge down at the end and he came up and he got up late. There's going to be a little bit of value here. And like you were just saying, there used to be a bounce factor in these Dubai races, made on races back into the US. And I don't know if it has something to do with maybe the Lasix rule changing, where they went from Lasix in the US to off Lasix, and you maybe didn't know what you were going to get. And then maybe you'd run hard without Lasix, and now coming back into the US, they were used to they would put it back on. Maybe that did something. But I just kind of feel like we saw with the horse that won last week, Belmont Stakes, the horse that won the Met Mile, Raging Torrent, won the Met Mile. Raging Torrent was coming out of the Godolphin Mile, and I kind of discredited him a little bit more. I'm like, he's coming out of this Dubai layoff. What are we going to get here? But he's not the only one. A lot of there have been more horses more recently coming out of Dubai that have done better. I think that he's now a 5-year-old. Again, he's the Brad. He reminds me a little bit of Skippy Longstocking into the effect of Brad Cox has kind of picked his spots very carefully where to put this horse and not have him go against tier 1 horses. And we have a loaded field of tier 1 horses. So I'm not exactly sure what to do with this horse. I'm kind of leaning against it as of today. The last horse in the field, which could end up being your speed, is trained by D. Wayne Lucas. And unless you've been kind of hiding under a horse racing rock, Mr. Lucas is not doing well. And he's up there now. I think he's 88, 89, and he has some type of a blood infection. And it doesn't sound promising. It seems that this could possibly be the last time you see his name in a racing form, which is kind of crazy to think about, or at least in a grade 1 race. And horse racing gods work in a funny way, like this horse is going to get it's going to get sent from the outside, and there's not a ton of speed in the race. He's going to be forward. He just has to improve a lot. And we're not exactly sure what we're going to get, but it's just kind of sad to think that maybe this is D. Wayne Lucas's last grade 1 race. And I know you were sharing with me before kind of, just how special of a man and trainer he is.
Yeah. Like he's been such a legend in our sport, and he's so, such a positive, they call him the coach because he's just such a positive person. And he does have that coaching style mentality. He's also coached Todd Pletcher, George Weaver, trained so many amazing trainers, Dallas Stewart, and now they're training other trainers like Amelia Green, and everyone's been really successful who's come underneath him. And he has a obviously very good system and program. I've seen Todd Pletcher's system. It's outstanding. And he's been a huge factor, a huge icon in our sport.
Yeah, he is. The best D. Wayne Lucas story I have is that I was probably 10, 11 years old. And it was one of the first times going to Saratoga with my father. And we were in the owner's boxes. One of my dad's friends, Al Freed, who's a New York breeder, had a horse running that day. And these were the times, this wasn't that long ago, but it was, 25, 30 years ago or so. Like if you had to wear a sport coat in the owner's boxes, like you couldn't take it off. And it was 105 degrees with humidity. And everyone is just drenched. And D. Wayne Lucas was 2 boxes away from us with his yellow tie, not a bead of sweat dripping down, with his, his arms crossed with his little program, confident as can be. And I don't remember the exact horse that won, but it was just like, that's what a horse trainer is supposed to look like. That's the guy I would want. And he's a legend, and it's super sad, but it's just kind of funny how this could be the last time he runs a horse in his name in a grade 1, and it's going to be on the lead. I believe that they'll probably tell Le Peru to get out there and go, but just kind of circling back to this whole race here, the grade 1 Stephen Foster, there's a couple different directions to go. I don't have a final opinion yet, but from what I'm getting from you, which I'm taking more and more of a look at, and talking to Kenny and him being so high on number 5 Mystic Dan is kind of where you would lean. How I will play this race on a grid and how I will play this race individually, I haven't yet decided, but I do know that my A in this race there will be an A. There's a definite A in this race for me, and it is First Mission for that he is getting better and better. This has always been highly taught. This has always been a very, very, this has always been a horse that Cox has had grade 1 aspirations for. It doesn't have a grade 1 win yet. They tried in the Stephen Foster, but I think it's coming into this race bigger and stronger, draws the rail. There's just a lot of positives. Not a ton of speed in the race. He's going to sit in the pocket forward, maybe take over an easy lead. So First Mission for me right now is in a definite A on the GiddyUpBets grid. But other than that, we're going to see how kind of the track plays, see if we get any more information, kind of read through the sheets again, and kind of go from there. But anything else you want to say about the race of the year so far, or the race of the weekend?
No, that's about it. I think we nailed it.
I think we nailed it. I think we did a great job. Let's do this. We usually do inside the mind of a horse player, then we go inside the mind of a jockey. Chantal gave us a lot of great stuff. I wanted to go inside her minds of a jockey about a ride that she had at Monmouth on June 20th. June 20th, Friday, race 1, Pretty Thing. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, Pretty Thing. She's
Pretty
for
Thing.
horse demo racing, and that's Kia, and a very great person in the industry right now.
Yep, we talked about him last week.
Yeah, putting a lot of money down on horses. And I think his assistant picked this horse, and she named it.
So we're at Monmouth here, Friday, race 1. I'm watching, and I see this horse pop out of the gate here. So it's the number 7, who you're on, Pretty Thing. And it's got gate speed, and I thought you gave an incredible ride. Pops up, you cross over on Paco, who's on the 6, and right here, you are using your experience, hands, and getting this horse not to speed off, and or as I would say, speed off and go too fast. Am I correct?
Yes.
Like, well, go through your mind process, because I felt the whole race was really won and lost. You broke, you crossed over on the number 6, who was the favorite, and right here, you're using your experience and the incredible hands that you have to settle her into a comfortable position where she's able to kind of kick on later. So kind of go through your mind process right here.
Yeah, I wanted, coming off that sprint, I wanted to get out of the gate, and I wanted to get over to the rail. And I also, she was a little sensitive with her mouth, so I had to kind of finagle her there, like give and take a little bit. I got to the rail, was able to cut the corner, and then she was pretty good. I could take a little breather. Then Paco decided to put a little bit of pressure, so I just opened up a little bit. And then when he backed off, because he could tell that I had a lot of horse, so I was able to take another little breather. And then, I knew he was going to probably come back at me on the final turn. And just when he starts to rev up, my goal is to sometimes, pull away a little bit. That way you can break a horse's heart. And, the horse just thinks that they can never get you, and they kind of give up a little bit. And it also made her brave.
Because you saw you got a breather. You went a second slower, second quarter. Yeah. And then right here, you're in hand. And after doing such a great job of kind of controlling the horse, and you just see your hands, you're now able to kind of kick into second gear and show pretty much the connections that you were right. Like this, we can get this horse to go 2 turns, and she kicks away like a pretty good thing here. And you've got a pretty nice filly. This wasn't this was a lower level, but there's more in the tank here. And you gave it a great ride, but if you win by this much on the turf, you're doing something right.
Thank you. I think I was so happy and impressed with how she responded to me. When she did go in the sprint race, she's not built like a sprinter. And I think, trainers always trying stuff. And the only thing I could say was from the gallop out in the sprint, I was 1,000% sure she's distance horse. And, what's great about my relationship with George and any trainer that I work with a lot, that, if they listen to you and, try things. Sometimes certain trainers can be intimidating to talk to, but like someone like Kenny McPeek, he loves talking to his jockeys. He loves the feedback, and we do get on them. We do know how they gallop out. We know how they feel. So if we can add that to where you pick your next race, I think that's such a huge advantage. And I also, love breezing her, and I get to know them, and it was just a good combination. I'm glad that George was able to give me that chance to try going long after sprinting.
Now, the same connections this Saturday coming up at Laurel.
Yes.
Race 10.
Yeah,
you will be riding King Max, who I was a fan of back last year, and it's coming back off of a layoff.
Yeah.
There isn't a ton of speed in the race. Wolfie's Dynaghost is going to be forward. You're going to have to hustle here, but this is a nice horse. It only lost 3 lengths in the Pegasus World Cup turf back January 2024. But say what you want to say. Like, what do you think? What are we thinking here?
So
this is Laurel Saturday race 10.
So George Delgado is really good at picking races and also handicapping himself. And maybe he didn't see a lot of speed, but the last breeze that I breezed on King Max, we had someone chasing me. So I was on the lead, and I kind of let King Max kind of, do what he wanted. And every time the horse tried to come to me, he'd open up, and he wouldn't let the horse pass me. So it was our first quarter was a little quicker than I normally like to go, but that other horse put some pressure, and he was really keen and strong. And then the Breeze was a great 5/8, and he had a great gallop out. He was strong. He's fit. I know we've had, a lot of time off, but in my opinion, he's ready.
He's ready to go.
Yeah.
This
And
is
he
where
feels
this
great.
is,
He's happy. He was like, today I gave him some mints, and I always give them mints. And if I walked by and I didn't give him one, he's very vocal, and he screams. I'll have to take a video tomorrow and show you what he's like. He's got tons of energy, and he's actually beautiful. He's black. He's got a beautiful white blaze, and he is the most talkative, social horse we have in the barn, or George's barn.
Yeah, this is a listed stakes race, going 9 furlongs. I think you have a big shot. I was going through the race when you told me that you had the mount, and I was kind of looking over it. And my one piece of advice to you was, I know this is Wolfie's Dynagos is a half to Sadler's Joy, who didn't really have any speed, but was a super talented horse for Tom Albertrani. Stumbled last time. Let's see if he's still the same. It's now 7-year-old gelding, but he's going to be on the lead. He's 10-1, but he's going to be the one to catch. But Good luck to you on Saturday with King Max. I'm excited for you.
Is that the only one that you see on the speed, and everybody else is not?
That he seems like lone speed to me. Like, I feel like there's other horses, like the Christophe Clement, now Miguel Clement horse, Summer Cause. He has some early pace figures that are quick to get him forward, but those are on the dirt. So, when you look at from a pace projected standpoint, those are going to come up. Like, that horse should be more forward, but I don't see that horse, gunning for the lead. Wolfie's Dynagos is going to be on the lead.
Yeah, like if he was to get a 48 for the half, I could be in trouble. So I might have to be closer. And if he's getting away with something, I'm gonna have to put pressure, because sometimes putting pressure is the only chance you get to win the race. So
exactly, because like we just kind of saw with you on Pretty Thing at Monmouth, when you get these horses loose on the lead and everyone gets, go press the horse. But like you saw in that race, Paco, he's riding incredibly well. He's like, I don't want to go out there and, kill my horse next to you. This was in the Monmouth race, so they pull back a little. And then if you can get a breather, they can break down the stretch, go wire to wire, and pull off an upset like what this horse is definitely capable of doing. So my advice to you is, it seems to me, as the story you're telling from working in the morning, they're trying to put a little bit more speed into this horse. It looks like he started running 6 furlongs back in Great Britain way back in 2021. So maybe there is a little bit more pace in there, and I would definitely use it. So good luck on Saturday.
Thank you. He's got a lot of class. So.
We are at about, I don't know, we've been talking a while. And with Kenny, he was great. He showed us the tattoo, the whole thing, super confident. But we always try to kind of, I don't like to drag these out, but we've got one more thing we want to do, right? Like, this isn't just about horse racing. Right. Being a fat Italian kid, I like to eat. And last year, I came out with my GiddyUpBets Saratoga next week, and Saratoga opens 4th of July for the first time, pretty much because Belmont's closed. I think it'll also continue on this way once Belmont does open. They'll probably just run all summer. It just makes sense. I get it. The money's better, but I came out with a restaurant grid last year. And I took some heat.
Great idea. No, really?
Well, yeah.
Because
I got some eyes. Like, I'm going to these restaurants, and I put a few C's in there, and I was like, people were coming up to me like, how do we get into an A column? And I'm like, a free drink. That can kick you up the ladder. But I updated the grid a little bit, because we were talking. We were down at Monmouth a couple weeks ago, and we went to, where did we go? We were with your friends, and it was really good.
Rooney's.
Yeah. We're sitting at the bar. Excellent. You're getting excellent. So we were talking. We were like, we want to talk about in this podcast. Like, we're going to talk about horses. I'm not going to sit here and try to go through like we did with Stephen Foster. You see how long that takes. Go through every horse, but we're going to throw some curveballs in here. Let's talk food.
Well. How do you have Salivo with the X?
Okay, So this is one of the issues. This is where I get in trouble a little bit.
What?
I like Salevo's food. I just have had some bad experiences there.
Really? I mean, it's so packed. It's
packed.
It's packed.
The food's okay, but I can get just as good a food at other places. And there's just I put up with a little. I get the stink guy there a little from.
Doesn't Chad Brown go there like every night?
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of horse people that go there every night, and that's not why it's an X. It's not an X because Chad Brown goes there. Let me just say that. John Stewart from Resolute Racing was in there. I think it was the night before at Belmont Stakes, and he picked up everyone's tab.
John,
so
wow,
he just was pretty much like, I'm going to take care of everyone's tab. Like, hey,
that's incredible.
Rich guy, thank you so much. I was not there that night. That was just what I heard. Salevo's an X for me because for the value, there's other places that I can go that I think that are better. I think the place down the block, Asteria Danny's, if you haven't been, I was sitting there the night before the Wednesday before the Belmont Stakes, and 2 seats away from me was Bob Baffert. So he knows where to eat. That's a single on the grid. My second single on the grid, Hamilton and Ghost. If you've never been, farm to table, food is fresh, vegetables, seafood, incredible cheeseburger. That's probably my favorite place in Saratoga. Would be my second single on the grid. Would be Hamilton and Ghost.
I like Hamilton Ghost. That's good.
I like it. They just opened on the last line of the 2025 GiddyUpBets restaurant grid, which I know everybody's been patiently waiting for, is a place called Familiar Creature. It is new. It is the sister restaurant of Hamilton and Ghost. It's pretty much Hamilton and Ghost Part 2. It's being run by the same people who do an amazing job. And I was in there the other night, got this chicken dish, which was lights out. It almost got to the single level, but I just, wanted to make sure I was loyal to some of my singles. 15 Church, expensive, but always very, very solid and good.
When you go to 15 Church, I like, isn't there the outside at 15 Church? Outside?
Yes, they have like the grill upstairs, and then they have, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And they have a great bar. They have a good atmosphere there. And then I love Salt and Char. And for the young girls or any women, the bartender there is really tall and handsome and super nice. So check that out. And I also I like Salt.
So you would say he's a single on the grid, an A on the grid, maybe?
I think that makes Salt and Char. Yeah.
Okay.
Check that out. He's very friendly, super handsome. Maybe a little young for me, but check it out. Salt and Char. I love that place. It's got a cool bar and cool vibe. I like in the back there. Yeah.
That's a definite spot where, same with 15 Churches, that if I have a really good day, I have been known, cash a nice big pick 5, maybe $20,000-$30,000 later, and I'm buying everybody dinner. We'll go to one of those places and I'll spend the money, and it's that's what I love the most, is like spending time with friends, family up here. And Salt and Char and 15 Church, Hamilton and Ghost, those are kind of like my 3 go-tos. And then I had to throw a single in there, Spring Street Deli. Like, it's just been my spot to go to early in the morning for breakfast or for lunch. I had their chicken tacos today. It's just been a solid deli here for like 30 years. The guy that runs the place is the nicest guy in the whole world. Everybody in there is just so nice to me. It's the best deli in Saratoga. Like, is it the best deli in the whole world? No, but it's the best deli that I enjoy going to Saratoga for, either breakfast, lunch, snack, whatever. If you are in Saratoga and you're looking for something quick and something good, Spring Street Deli is my spot. Those are kind of my singles on the grid. The A's, then, we don't have to go through all of them, but Mamma Mia's is a little bit outside of town. It's really solid Italian place for the money. Again, I go in there a lot. They always seat me. I always give them a couple winners, so they give me a couple extra drinks. Seneca is new, really good. Old Brian Inn. French onion soup is amazing. Wishing Well's been around forever. It's had its ups and downs. It's on the up again. I really like going there. And then the B's, C's, and X's I would all go to, but you got to draw a line somewhere. And that's what I did.
Wow, Salevo, ouch.
The X on the Salevo. I knew you were going to say something. Because last year I started catching heat, and it has nothing to do. Like, some of the people that work in there, I am friendly with, and some of the people that own the place, I am friendly with. But there are some people that, go in there often that
Yeah.
I leave off my pick 5 ticket. I don't really care for them that much.
Wow.
I like being around my crew and my people, and everyone knows now. They don't even ask me. They're like, "We're going out to dinner tonight." I'm like, "Where are you going?" They're like, "Oh, actually, never mind." I'm like, "You want to go here or here?
That's
You want to go to? You want to go to Danny's? You want to go to Mamma Mia's? You want to 15 Church?" And they're like, "Yeah, let's go with you. We'll go." And then we go. So Solevo's is solid. It's an X on the grid for non-food reasons, more of just a personal preference reason to some of the people that are regulars there. Is that a good way of putting it? Is that fair enough without naming names?
Yeah. Don't
Did I leave anything off?
No, that's great.
How about this is the last question of all racetracks? If you were to win a big race or do something and you wanted to have a really good meal, and I know, making weight is tough for anybody, but I don't have that problem. But if you were going to go somewhere, if it was out near Del Mar, Santa Anita, Woodbine, I don't know, anywhere. It doesn't have to be Saratoga. Gulfstream, if there was somewhere where you were like, and you were with like your best friends and it was like, we're going here after a big win or a big day, what would be your single on the grid? What would be your number one place?
You know what? Right now, what's popping up for me is in Del Mar, the Pamplemousse.
Okay.
I just love going there. And then also, gosh, anywhere in Del Mar. But for Saratoga, 15 Church, Salt and Char, those are my spots. Here, it's Rooney's. I am definitely a person of routine. I never go too far away from where I live. So if you're to probably ever want to know where I am, it's pretty easy.
And they definitely know you in there because when we walked in, they knew what fish you were getting, double broccolini, and you were like,
and they
brought popcorn with you. Yep.
Everybody loves it.
Excellent. So PodToga episode 3 is coming to a close. I think we did a pretty good job. Kenny was great. We went over the Stephen Foster. Sign up at GiddyUpBets.com. If you're new, I'll throw you on the list for free for a few weeks. Saratoga's opening next week. You're going to have a few more winners this week. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. And people want to keep listening. We've had a ton of people reach out, and I have a few questions that we were going to get to, but I feel like we're kind of at a point now where there's some things we're going to get to maybe in the next episode next week. As you might come here, we'll do one of these together.
I'll be there. That'd be fun. And maybe we'll do it at one of our restaurants or something.
Yeah, right? Maybe something that's an A on the grid that wants to be a single, hook us up with a little spot and have some guests come along and have an evening. Make a day of it. And
I'm going to take some video of King Max and show you that next week. And then also you can follow me on Instagram this week because I'm going to do a lot more on Insta.
Follow Chantal on Instagram at Chantal Sutherland, right?
Yeah.
And then on Twitter, it's Jockey Chantal 33, I believe.
Jockey Chantal on X.
Jockey Chantal.
Yeah.
On X. And I am at GiddyUpBets. We are about 50 minutes deep. I am done. I have to now go and start watching replays for Aqueduct Saturday. I am done with my Friday Aqueduct work. I am halfway done with my Churchill Downs work. But as I like to say, horse racing doesn't sleep. And in order to have success, you got to keep working hard. And that's what we're doing. So it was a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. And I will see you next week.
I'll see you next week. I'll see everybody else out there. We will be in Saratoga. If you want to come say hello, we will be there on Thursday. Come on out and have a good time. Have a good 4th of July. Where else would you rather be?
Yeah, come see us on Thursday. Come say hi.
Giddy up.
All right. Thank you. Giddy up. Bye.
Bye.